Today, FDA approvals in prostate cancer and lung cancer, a priority review designation in AML, an ODAC review in ALL, and disappointing findings in a lung cancer trial. Welcome to Enclave News Network. I'm Gina Columbus. The FDA has approved apalutamide, known by the trade name Erleada, for the treatment of patients with non-metastatic castration-resistant prostate cancer. The drug is now the first FDA-approved treatment in this setting. The decision is based on the Phase 3 Spartan trial, in which apalutamide reduced the risk of metastasis or death by 72% compared with placebo in patients with non-metastatic CRPC. The median metastasis-free survival was 40.5 months in the apalutamide arm versus 16.2 months in the placebo arm. At a median follow-up of 20.3 months, 61% of those on the apalutamide arm remained on treatment compared with 30% of the placebo group. Additionally, an interim OS analysis revealed a trend favoring apalutamide. The time between randomization to first treatment for metastatic CRPC and subsequent progression was longer for patients who were initially randomized to apalutamide. In non-small cell lung cancer, the FDA approved durvalumab for the treatment of patients with locally advanced, unresectable stage 3 disease who have not progressed following chemoradiotherapy. This marks the first treatment approved for stage 3 unresectable NSCLC to reduce the risk of the cancer progressing when disease has not worsened after chemoradiation. The regulatory decision is based on results of the Phase 3 Pacific trial, in which the PD-L1 inhibitor durvalumab improved median progression-free survival by 11.2 months versus placebo. The 12-month progression-free survival rate was 55.9% versus 35.3%, and the 18-month PFS rate was 44.2% versus 27%, again favoring the durvalumab arm. The PFS benefit associated with durvalumab was found to be consistent across all pre-specified subgroups and also held irrespective of PD-L1 expression before chemoradiotherapy. Objective response rate was also significantly higher with durvalumab at 28.4% versus 16%. Of the patients who had a response to durvalumab, 72.8% had an ongoing response at both 12 and 18 months, as compared with 56.1% and 46.8% respectively in the placebo arm. The FDA has granted a priority review designation to ivosidenib for the treatment of patients with relapsed refractory IDH1 mutant acute myeloid leukemia. The new drug application was based on findings from a Phase 1 trial that was presented at the 2017 ASH annual meeting. In the single-arm trial, patients treated with the FDA-submitted 500 mg daily dose of ivosidenib had a complete response or CR with partial hematologic recovery rate of 30.4%, which lasted for a median duration of 8.2 months. Of those in CR, 28% were negative for minimal residual disease. In addition to the new drug application, a pre-market approval application was also submitted to the FDA for a companion diagnostic to detect IDH1 mutations, which occur in 6% to 10% of patients with AML. The assay, which is Abbott's M2000 real-time system, is designed to automatically prepare samples and analyze batches for nucleic acid amplification and detection. Under the Prescription Drug User Fee Act, the FDA will decide on the application for ivosidenib by August 21, 2018. The FDA's Oncologic Drugs Advisory Committee is expected to review a supplemental biologics license application for the use of blinatumomab for the treatment of patients with minimal residual disease, positive B-cell precursor acute lymphoblastic leukemia on March 7, 2018. A Prescription Drug User Fee Act target action date for the application is set for March 29th. This is the first sBLA submitted for an MRD-positive indication. Amgen, the manufacturer of blinatumomab, filed the application based on data from the Phase 2 BLAST trial. In the results, 78% of evaluable patients had a complete MRD response after one cycle of treatment with blinatumomab. 2 more patients achieved a complete MRD response after cycle 2. Among 5 patients with Philadelphia chromosome-positive disease who had MRD evaluations, 3 had an MRD response during cycle 1. Investigators also found that complete MRD response was associated with significantly improved survival. Compared with non-responders, patients who had complete MRD response had superior relapse-free survival at 23.6 versus 5.7 months and overall survival at 38.9 versus 12.5 months. Among the entire study population, the median OS was 36.5 months. The PD-L1 inhibitor avelumab missed the primary endpoint of improving overall survival in pretreated patients with non-small cell lung cancer, according to findings from the Phase 3 Javelin Lung 200 trial. The PD-L1 inhibitor did not improve OS for patients with PD-L1 positive, unresectable, recurrent, or metastatic NSCLC compared with docetaxel in patients who had progressed on platinum-containing doublet chemotherapy. The results were announced by Merck, KGaA, and Pfizer, the co-developers of avelumab. The proportion of patients in the chemotherapy arm crossing over to immune checkpoint inhibitors outside the study was higher than previously reported in post-platinum immunotherapy clinical trials, which the companies say may have confounded the outcome. More than 1/4 of patients in the docetaxel arm received subsequent checkpoint inhibitor therapy versus 5.7% in the avelumab arm. Investigators noted improvements in OS versus the control arm in the 40% of patients with moderate to high PD-L1 expression and the 30% of the cohort with high PD-L1 expression. The developers plan to release more detailed findings from Javelin Lung 200 at a future medical meeting and discuss the data with regulatory agencies. This week, we sat down with Dr. Joseph Lovett of Mount Sinai School of Medicine to discuss the results of the Celestial trial of second-line cabozantinib in hepatocellular carcinoma.
The importance of the cabozantinib trial relies on the fact that the three drugs that are in the field so far, that are sorafenib, regorafenib, and lenvatinib, are quite, in lingo of FDA, quite dirty molecules. They are very promiscuous. They are targeting 40 kinases or so. And the cabozantinib, despite that it's targeting several kinases, is more selective. It's blocking BAGF, c-MET, and AXL. So this is relevant in the sense that we know that BAGF is an important pro-angiogenic factor and pro-proliferative in HCC. c-MET signaling is also important. It's activated in 50% of the tumors at advanced stage. And then the fact that with this drug that has a more narrow spectrum of targets is also achieving clinical relevant outcomes, it is important in my mind. The results of the trial were, in summary, that the drug is able to expand survival around 2 months, from 8 months to 10.2 months in second line in patients progressing to sorafenib, without any remarkable adverse events, the usual hypertension, hand-foot skin, and so on, but nothing that is not manageable. And the objective response by RECIST was 4%, with a no bad modified RECIST has not been reported. But I think that it's another additional drug, effective, that is certainly needed for all these patients.
That's all for today. Thank you for watching Enclave News Network. I'm Gina Columbus.